let us pray. God is already here.
Trusting that being close to you is not something I earn, but something you gently offer. And as I slow down, I remember that you are present not only in grand sanctuaries, but in whispered prayers, tired rooms, and shared silence. And your presence steadies me when everything else feels uncertain. So I bring you my ache, my hope, my gratitude, and my unanswered questions, believing that none of them push you away. And if your heart is open even a little right now, I invite you to quietly say, God, I want to feel you near. And let that simple desire rise like a soft song, because you have always been attentive to those who draw near, and I remain here, breathing, waiting, trusting that closeness with you is already unfolding in ways I may not yet see. Lord Jesus, as this prayer continues to breathe and unfold, I feel the gentle pull of your presence drawing us closer together, reminding us that when hearts gather in your name, even across distance and time, you are mysteriously and tenderly among us, and that truth settles like warm light in the center of my chest, easing the loneliness I sometimes carry without words, because you are not a distant God observing from afar, but a living presence who steps into the space where two or three simply choose to turn toward you. And I think of how often I forget that holiness can sound like shared breath and feel like quiet agreement between souls seeking you. And I let my defenses soften as I realize you are already here, already listening, already welcoming. And in this awareness, I find courage to stay instead of rushing away, to linger instead of filling the silence. And if you sense even a flicker of togetherness right now, I invite you to gently acknowledge it by whispering, you are here with me. And let that truth settle without effort, because your nearness does not need to be proven, only received. And so we remain gathered in spirit, trusting that you are moving within this moment in ways deeper than emotion, weaving connection where there was distance, and peace where there was longing. Holy God, as this prayer stretches onward like a quiet river, my soul becomes aware of its own thirst, a deep and ancient longing that mirrors the deer searching for water in the heat of an unrelenting day. And I recognize that beneath all my striving, distractions, and noise, there is a simple desire to encounter you, not just to know about you, but to feel your presence refresh what has grown weary inside me. And I bring that longing to you without shame, because you shaped this hunger as a pathway back to yourself. And in the stillness, I sense you inviting me to drink deeply, to stop skimming the surface of faith and allow my heart to be filled. And even when my prayers feel weak or unfinished, I trust that you understand the language of yearning. And if your soul feels dry or tired right now, I invite you to quietly admit it before God, knowing that honesty opens streams where dryness once lived. And as we stay here, thirst and hope intertwine, forming a sacred ache that draws us closer, reminding us that every desire for you is already a response to your presence calling us home. Faithful God, as this devotion keeps unfolding, I sense a quiet shift from longing into trust, like morning light slowly finding its way through closed curtains. And I remember that drawing near to you is not about striving harder, but about turning my face toward the love that has always been turned toward me. And in that gentle turning, I feel your promise whispering through my thoughts, that when I take even one small step toward you, you respond with nearness that cannot be measured. And this truth softens the fear that I am ever too far gone or too distracted to be met by you, because your closeness is patient and your timing is kind. And even now you are meeting me where I am, not where I think I should be. And I let myself rest in that mercy, breathing it in slowly. And if you desire to lean closer in this moment, I invite you to simply open your hands, physically or in your heart, as a quiet sign of trust, and stay here with me, trusting that God is already drawing near in ways that heal unseen places. And we remain in this sacred exchange, moving deeper into awareness, deeper into presence, without rushing ahead of what you are gently doing now. Gracious Lord, as this prayer continues to breathe, I feel gratitude beginning to rise like a soft song carried on a steady wind, reminding me that worship does not always look like lifted hands or perfect words, but sometimes like quiet joy awakening in the middle of ordinary moments. And I sense you welcoming that joy without demand, inviting hearts to come before you just as they are, carrying both sorrow and gladness side by side, because you delight in honest praise more than performance. And even when my voice feels fragile, my spirit learns to rejoice simply because you are here, and this joy does not erase pain but gently holds it, teaching me that gladness can coexist with healing tears. And as I linger in this awareness, I notice how your presence lightens what once felt heavy. And if you feel even a small spark of gratitude stirring right now, I invite you to quietly thank God for being near in this very moment, letting that gratitude bloom naturally without forcing it. And we stay here together, allowing worship to become a resting place, a shared breath of joy that flows forward, carrying us deeper into the warmth of God's nearness. Tender Father, as we remain in this flowing prayer, I become aware of how your presence settles not like a sudden storm, but like a steady warmth that wraps itself around the fragile places of the heart. And I sense you inviting us to stay unguarded a little longer, to let down the walls built from disappointment, fear, and fatigue, because you are gentle with what is bruised and careful with what is still healing. And in this closeness, I realize that being near you does not demand explanations or outcomes, only willingness. And I feel your patience surrounding every unanswered question I carry, reminding me that mystery does not mean absence, and silence does not mean neglect. And even now, you are working in ways too deep for words. And if your heart needs permission to rest here without trying to fix anything, I invite you to softly tell God, I'm staying with you, and allow that choice to anchor you in peace, because your nearness is not fleeting, it is faithful, and we continue forward together, wrapped in the quiet assurance that you are holding this moment with care. Holy Presence, as this prayer keeps unfolding without hurry, I feel a deeper stillness settling in, like the earth after rain, when everything feels washed and receptive. And I sense that you are inviting us into a kind of listening that goes beyond words, where the soul learns to recognize you not by sound or sign, but by peace. And in this quiet, I realize how often I fill space to avoid feeling vulnerable. Yet you meet vulnerability with tenderness, never with judgment. And I let myself be known here without defenses, trusting that being near you is safer than hiding from you. And this closeness begins to restore something gentle inside me, something I did not know was tired until it began to rest. And your nearness feels like a steady hand reminding me I am not alone in my becoming. And if you feel drawn into this stillness right now, I invite you to pause and take one slow breath, offering it to God as a simple act of trust. Because even breath can become prayer, and we remain here, suspended in this sacred awareness, allowing the quiet to carry us deeper into the comfort of God's living presence. Faithful Lord, as this prayer continues to flow, I notice how your nearness begins to feel less like a moment and more like a dwelling place, a refuge where the soul can finally exhale without fear of being rushed. And I am reminded that you do not merely visit us in passing, but choose to remain with those who turn toward you. And that thought steadies me when life feels fragmented, because your presence gathers what feels scattered inside me, gently stitching wholeness where there was strain. And I sense you inviting me to trust that staying close to you reshapes the way I carry everything else, making even heavy days feel held. And in this awareness, I stop measuring progress and start noticing grace, subtle and steady, moving beneath the surface. And if your heart desires to rest more deeply in God's closeness right now, I invite you to quietly say, "You are my refuge," and let those words settle without force. Because refuge is not escape but belonging, and we remain here together, letting this belonging grow stronger as the prayer continues to breathe, unfold, and draw us gently onward. Faithful Lord, as this prayer continues to flow, I notice how your nearness begins to feel less like a moment and more like a dwelling place, a refuge where the soul can finally exhale without fear of being rushed. And I am reminded that you do not merely visit us in passing, but choose to remain with those who turn toward you. And that thought steadies me when life feels fragmented, because your presence gathers what feels scattered inside me, gently stitching wholeness where there was strain. and I sense you inviting me to trust that staying close to you reshapes the way I carry everything else, making even heavy days feel held. And in this awareness, I stop measuring progress and start noticing grace, subtle and steady, moving beneath the surface. And if your heart desires to rest more deeply in God's closeness right now, I invite you to quietly say, "You are my refuge." And let those words settle without force, because refuge is not escape but belonging, and we remain here together, letting this belonging grow stronger as the prayer continues to breathe, unfold, and draw us gently onward. Ever-present Lord, as this prayer carries us onward, I feel a quiet confidence rising that your nearness is not dependent on my strength, but anchored in your promise. And that promise steadies me when my emotions shift like changing skies, because you remain constant even when I feel unsure. And I sense you inviting me to lean into that constancy, to let my faith rest on who you are, rather than how I feel. And in this resting, I discover a peace that does not demand certainty, only trust. And I realize how often I search for reassurance outside, when you are offering it within, patiently waiting for my attention to return. And your presence feels like a gentle assurance that I am held even when I cannot articulate why. And as I stay here, fear loosens its grip, replaced by a calm awareness that I am not navigating this life alone. And if your heart needs reassurance right now, I invite you to softly say, "I trust you here," allowing that trust to take root without pressure, because trust grows quietly in the soil of presence, and we continue forward together, held by a God whose nearness does not waver, even as this devotion keeps unfolding with tender steadiness. Patient Father, as this prayer keeps its gentle pace, I become aware of how your presence teaches endurance without strain, a staying power that does not exhaust the soul but strengthens it quietly. And I notice that when I remain near you, even waiting takes on meaning, because waiting with you is never empty. It is filled with unseen work and subtle healing. And I sense you encouraging me not to rush past this season, not to measure its worth by visible change, but to trust that closeness itself is shaping me, softening sharp edges, deepening compassion, and anchoring hope where anxiety once lived. And I feel gratitude rising for a God who does not abandon the process halfway, who stays attentive through every slow transformation. And this steadiness invites me to breathe easier, knowing I am not late, lost, or forgotten. And if you feel weary from waiting right now, I invite you to quietly say, "I'll wait here with you," letting that choice become an act of faith, because your presence turns waiting into communion, and we continue forward together, allowing patience to grow like a quiet strength within this unfolding devotion. Compassionate God, as this prayer continues its quiet unfolding, I sense how your presence invites honesty without fear, a space where nothing needs to be hidden or softened, because you already know the weight each heart carries. And in this closeness, I feel permission to bring you what I usually keep guarded, the doubts I dress up as strength and the hopes I barely dare to name. And I notice how you do not recoil from any of it, but receive it with a tenderness that disarms my defenses. And this realization loosens something inside me, reminding me that being near you is not about presenting my best self, but my truest one. And I feel relief in knowing that truth is welcome here, held gently by grace. And as we remain in this sacred awareness, I sense healing beginning not as a sudden change, but as a slow release. And if you feel the need to be fully honest before God right now, I invite you to quietly say, "Here I am," allowing that openness to become prayer, because your presence meets sincerity with compassion, and we continue onward together, resting in the safety of being known and loved as this devotion keeps flowing forward without interruption. Steady, Lord, as this devotion keeps moving like a heartbeat that refuses to fade, I feel a quiet strength forming in the awareness that your presence does not rush me forward or push me to become something overnight, but patiently walks with me step by step. And I realize how healing it is to be accompanied rather than driven, to know that you are not disappointed by slowness but attentive within it. And this truth eases the pressure I place on myself to have everything resolved, because being near you is already enough for this moment. And And I sense you reminding me that growth often happens beneath the surface long before it is seen, like roots deepening in unseen soil. And I let that understanding calm my anxious striving, choosing to stay grounded instead of restless. And your presence becomes a steady rhythm I can lean into when uncertainty tries to pull me apart. And if you desire to release the pressure of having to figure everything out right now, I invite you to gently tell God, I trust the process with you, allowing that trust to settle slowly, because He is faithful in every stage. And we continue together, letting this quiet strength carry us further into the comfort of staying near Him. Kind and present God, as this prayer continues its gentle journey, I feel a deeper reassurance settling in that your presence is not something that fades when attention wavers, but something that quietly waits, constant and unoffended. And this steadiness comforts the parts of me that fear drifting too far or failing too often, because you do not measure closeness the way humans do, counting missteps or moments of distraction, but instead you remain faithful, inviting return without reproach. And in this realization, I feel freedom to stop policing my thoughts and simply turn my heart back toward you again and again, knowing each turn is welcomed. And I sense your nearness restoring a sense of belonging that nothing else quite satisfies, reminding me that I am not wandering alone through my days. And even when life grows loud, your presence remains a quiet center I can return to. And if you feel the need to recenter your heart right now, I invite you to softly whisper, I turn toward you, letting that gentle intention become prayer, because every turning draws us closer to the one who never turned away, and we continue onward together, carried by this faithful nearness that remains steady as the devotion keeps unfolding. Living God, as this prayer continues without reaching for an ending, I sense how your presence begins to gently reorder my inner world, aligning scattered thoughts and quieting the noise that competes for my attention. And I realize that being near you shapes not only how I pray, but how I live, how I listen, how I carry others in my heart. And this awareness feels less like instruction and more like transformation happening naturally through closeness, because when I stay with you, my reactions soften and my perspective widens, and I notice a growing tenderness toward myself and toward others that I did not manufacture, but simply received by remaining here. And your presence feels like a light that does not expose but warms, illuminating what needs care rather than criticism. And I rest in that light without shrinking back, trusting its gentleness. And if you sense God reshaping something inside you right now, I invite you to quietly say, work in me, allowing that consent to open space for His quiet movement, because He is faithful to complete what He begins. And we continue forward together, letting this unseen transformation deepen as the devotion keeps flowing onward. Eternal Father, as this prayer continues to move like a slow-burning ember, I feel a sacred intimacy growing, the kind that comes not from urgency, but from remaining. And I sense that your presence is teaching the soul how to abide without effort, how to stay rooted even when circumstances shift. And this abiding feels like learning a new language made of trust rather than control, where I no longer grasp for certainty but rest in companionship. And I realize how deeply the heart heals when it knows it does not walk alone, because your nearness reframes even pain as something carried together rather than endured in isolation. And I feel courage quietly forming, not loud or dramatic, but steady enough to face what once felt overwhelming. And this courage flows from simply staying close to you, moment by moment, breath by breath. And as we linger here, I sense you drawing us deeper into shared awareness. And if your heart longs to remain connected to God through whatever lies ahead, I invite you to gently say, stay with me, trusting that He already is, because His presence does not fade with changing seasons. And we continue onward together, held in this growing intimacy that feels strong, alive, and unfinished, still unfolding with quiet purpose. Beloved God, as this prayer reaches its deepest stillness, I feel the fullness of your presence resting among us, not as an ending, but as a holy dwelling where hearts have gathered and found you faithful. And I sense how good it truly is to be near you, to discover that refuge is not a place we escape to, but a closeness we live within. and my soul echoes its ancient longing, now met with quiet satisfaction. Like thirst answered by living water, and joy rises gently, not loud but sure, because worship has become awareness, and gladness has become breath. And I realize that drawing near to you has changed the shape of this moment, filling it with peace that will linger beyond these words, and your promise feels alive, fulfilled in the simple truth that you are here with us now. And if you desire to carry this nearness forward into whatever comes next, I invite you to softly whisper, "I stay close to you," and let that commitment settle into your spirit. And now, with tenderness that flows like light over every waiting heart, may the presence of God surround you. May the peace of Christ dwell deeply within you. May the Spirit gently guide your steps, and may you walk forward knowing you are never alone, held, seen, and loved, now and always. If this prayer spoke to your heart, stay with us. Like this video so that more weary people can find rest, subscribe to the channel to receive new prayers every day, and write in the comments the name or situation for which you would like prayer. We will be reading, praying, and walking with you. May you never feel alone. God is with you, and so are we. And